You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
Hello all, Antonio Tambornino here with my review of the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. One may not need to do a review on what may be considered a children's classic based on what is considered a children's classic, but unlike the book, the movie falls short of the magic that was the phenomenon that the first Harry Potter book started. I will say it was smart on Warner Brothers' part to name the movie after the American title of the book, because by doing so, they made the movie more marketable than it already was. There are a couple of obvious mistakes that people have noticed before and will probably continue to notice in the years to come. So how is it that Chris Columbus and team continued to not notice that they hid Harry's scar more often than not? And yet, almost every single character Harry runs into throughout the movie seems to know he is almost immediately. Secondly, the introduction of Draco Malfoy by announcing that he's heard of rumors on a rather short train ride of Harry Potter returning to Hogwarts. That's funny. I don't really remember anyone on that train ride mentioning anything about a return of Harry Potter to Hogwarts. Of course, we know that Harry Potter is famous at this point in the story, but how does Draco know that? There really is magic in the world of Harry Potter. Some may consider the acting a little bit strange at first, but that's only because Harry, Ron, and Hermione are just kids at this point. Considering that Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson are three young actors who have had little acting experience and are now expected to pull off blockbuster roles such as these, I actually give these actors credit in this movie. A lot of credit. As for the adult actors, everyone in this movie seems to be spot on, with one exception. Alan Rickman. He doesn't strike me as a very convincing Severus Snape. He's just too calm. He isn't hateful enough. His angst feels, again, just a little bit too calm for someone who positively despises Harry. Having said that, he delivers a good performance of someone whom you're not too sure about. Does he fight for good or does he fight for bad? Throughout this movie, well, we know who Severus Snape is at this point, but it's tough to say where his loyalty lies, and Alan Rickman captured that duality well. The producers of the first Harry Potter film have always felt that the special effects felt a little short of what they ought to in the first Harry Potter film. And it shows. A lot of what's on screen feels like a cardboard effect, as though people have been cut out of paper and pasted onto greenlit backgrounds. That's probably because the filmmakers felt they were on a tight schedule, having to make a 2.5-hour film, which is still quite long for a kid's movie. But even at that length, the film feels as though it's moving faster than it ought to, which kind of robs it of the magic that it could otherwise have had. The humor in the movie does not feel as genuine as it did in the book. Parts of the movie, not many, feel cheesy and a little bit fake. For example, when Harry first encounters Lord Voldemort in the Forbidden Forest, a big part of this scene feels oddly staged and not all like something you would encounter in a thriller movie, kids movie or not. Because of that rushed pacing, instead of a good thriller moment, we get something that feels like the filmmakers were simply trying too hard to scare us. Chris Columbus and team have a similar problem with the scenes that involve the three-headed dog Fluffy. Every time Harry, Ron, and Hermione encounter it, it likes to take its time before attempting to rip them apart. This is probably because Columbus and team are trying to build up the tension while maintaining the humor, but instead deliver on something that feels corny and a little too predictable. Does this sound like Harry Potter is a B movie? Sure does to me. Lastly, this movie should feel moody. Who says, you may ask? I says. Harry Potter is a fun story, one that kids loved and will no doubt continue to do so. It has the right kind of humor, splashes of fun throughout, and in just over 300 pages, the book is still a quick read. At its core, the tale of Harry Potter and that of Voldemort is very dark, and that's part of what makes the story so compelling. So why doesn't it show in the movie? My guess is Chris Columbus and David Heyman probably felt they needed to give the movie a Disney feel, and they were probably right to think that they ought to. Rowling wrote Harry Potter in a classic style, one that adheres to bedtime stories, which can remind people of the Disney effect, which has been proven to sometimes work and other times not. In the case of Harry Potter, it simply makes Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the movie, more kidified than it already was. I give Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone 3 out of 5 stars. Even for being something that was just a little undercooked, it's still an enjoyable movie and will no doubt delight many a fan and moviegoer and movie watcher for years. A worthy introduction to a successful franchise. Thank you very much for your time and have an awesome day.